Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 Drama. Key talking points coming out of the Mexico Grand Prix weekend. Max Verstappen and Red Bull boycotting the entirety of Sky Sports F1. We're going to talk about why, the comments that originated this discussion, and when we might expect this to end, if at all. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Very spicy stuff today. Ferrari, I don't know where they've gone, completely missing. Just a great meme for the weekend. And also just to mention this, Max Verstappen has broken another record this weekend for the most points scored all time in a single season. Yes, of course, more races this season than previously, but still remarkable after, 3 races into the season when everyone was saying, wow, the Ferrari's a rocket ship, the Red Bull's an unreliable car. Turned out to be a rather different story, and now that record is officially broken. 416 points he's put together out of 544 so far, and he's still got 2 more rounds to extend that record to kind of untouchable levels, to be honest, unless he can break it himself next season if Red Bull continue to have an absolute beast. Their car is just so well-rounded right now, it's almost impossible to beat. These are some of the other records over the history. Just to mention quickly, because of course in Abu Dhabi, Verstappen will be stepping away in FP1 for Liam Lawson, going to drive the car there because of course the F2 drivers are in town for Abu Dhabi for their finale for the season. And also Fernando Alonso is going to make his first appearance for Aston Martin during the Abu Dhabi tyre test. So also pretty interesting that Aston Martin giving this young rookie Alonso a chance in the car as well. Let's talk about the Verstappen drama. So before the weekend began, or before the race began, it was becoming clear that Verstappen was not going to do any interviews with Sky Sports F1, with either Sky Sports F1, the British team, or the Italian team, or the German team. He was not going to participate due to comments made by Ted Kravitz in his notebook, and we'll see those comments here in just a second. So then he went on after the race. Of course, the media asked him about this to explain his discussion, and he said the following: this whole year, people have been effectively firing shots, I guess he means here, and they're not being respectful, especially one person in particular. At a certain point, I don't accept it anymore. The atmosphere on social media is toxic. That only makes it worse. These are the comments from Verstappen, and as he kind of says, you keep disrespecting me, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. You got to respect Max for this to some degree as well. Like, he's like, okay, if you disrespect me, I don't care. I'm not going to talk too much trash. I'm simply just going to ignore you, not talk to you, and effectively boycott the Sky Sports media interviews. He does interviews elsewhere, but nothing on Sky Sports. Now, the entire team has supported Verstappen on this. I believe Verstappen was the one who took the charge on this and wasn't happy with particular comments, and his entire team has now doubled down and said, you know what, the entirety of Red Bull is going to boycott this. No Perez, no Horner, nothing. Sky Sports aren't getting anything, and this is an indefinite boycott as well. They're not going to talk for, the near future, certainly, if not for quite some time to come. Means there's no more Horner going down to Christian Horner on the pit wall for the time being, which may be either a positive or negative, depending on your perspective. But these are the comments here from Christian Horner. We are disappointed with a series of derogatory comments that have been made on Sky. So we felt this weekend we would take a break, and that it wouldn't do Sky any harm, us taking a break. There needs to be balance in commentary. Some of the commentary is excellent, but some of the pieces, there is too much sensationalization being done. We stand together as a team, but it's not just Sky UK, it's been across all Sky channels in Germany and Italy as well. Horner says Verstappen was upset at a claim on the station that Hamilton was robbed of last year's title. It is just to register our discontents. Sometimes some of the less impartial comments, some of the accusations that are made, TV seems to be becoming more sensationalized, accusations of a championship being robbed. That is not something we feel is impartial commentary. Obviously, we don't feel like this is in any way fair or balanced. Max was very upset about it, and as a team, we support him fully and are doubling down here on the boycott. So these were the comments from Verstappen, and comments from Red Bull and, Christian Horner there in a second. So yeah, quite the statement really here from Max Verstappen. Are they right to do this? Are they right about the bias inherent in the Sky Sports coverage, which I think is certainly pretty evident when you watch it from time to time, or does Ted Kravitz have a point? So I wanted to share here the original that I managed to find on YouTube, even though it seems like a lot of the Ted's notebooks have just been removed from YouTube, despite still being on the Sky Sports website. So I'll see that in a second. But yeah, these are the comments from Ted Kravitz. He basically was talking after the US Grand Prix about the fact that, Brad Pitt was in the paddock. They're doing this Formula 1 film with Lewis Hamilton, and he was making up a script in his head about how it might have gone, and of how it would have been quite a nice storyline if Hamilton had won after beating the driver that kind of, was involved in the robbery of his 2021 title, all this type of stuff. He doesn't necessarily say that Verstappen robbed the title. I think the implication is that the race directors robbed Hamilton's title, but obviously Verstappen and Red Bull didn't take so kindly to this.
A script. And yes, Brad Pitt, well, he might not have wanted to, don't know if he wants to sell his film. People want to watch the Formula One film he's making with director Joseph Kosinski of Top Gun Maverick fame. And, well, we know pretty much the script because it seems to be the same script that everyone's doing in Formula One, which is, old driver in retirement. Oh, I can't drive anymore. I've had it. Comes out of retirement to help troubled young driver deliver in Formula One. Look, they're not letting anyone go anywhere here. Oh, we're sort of under lockdown here. Anyway, there's that old trope. But I like today's script that, seven-time world champion, almost said eight-time world champion, seven-time world champion goes into final race trying to be the greatest of all time and win championship, gets robbed, comes back. His next year's car is rubbish, or not rubbish. Next year's car is, in movie sense, his next year's car is rubbish. Doesn't win a race all year, and then finally comes back at a track where he could win the first race all year. Is battling with the same guy who won the race that he was robbed in the previous year, and manages to finish ahead of him. What a script and a story that would have been. So, Brad, if you're listening, that's not a bad one. I don't know if he's in the back of the Mercedes motorhome here with all the people and that man on the door. Maybe he is. But that's not the way the script turned out today, was it? Because the guy that beat him after being robbed, the seven-time world champion, actually overtook him because he's got a quicker car.
No, everyone has their different opinions on Ted Kravitz, whether they like him, whether they don't. Personally, I think he's a great, different kind of feel to Formula One. I really like what he does with the notebook in general because it's behind the scenes. He involves the fans a lot more than a lot of, other presenters. And, obviously he has his own certain way to do things. And you can argue, okay, are Red Bull just too salty about this? Because there's been some discussions from Horner in the past saying that, Abu Dhabi is not going to be remembered and it's going to quickly blow over and people will forget about it. And then a year later, they're doing a boycott because of discussions on Abu Dhabi. But at the same time, I think they've got a point, right? I do think that a lot of the time the Sky Sports coverage is no real surprise, especially on the British side, very much catered towards Hamilton and Russell and Mercedes and the kind of British bias there compared to, despite Red Bull kind of being a British team to some degree, obviously we know how the commentary can sometimes go. Whether Ted's comments were necessarily indicative of that, I think he does give Verstappen his respect, but also he does mention Abu Dhabi a fair bit as well. But also the question is he necessarily wrong to say the title was robbed? I mean, obviously it depends on your definition, and obviously, Verstappen and Red Bull are not going to be happy with it, but at the same time, the FIA admitted that the race director, Michael Massey, made a mistake, so, therefore, Verstappen won the title based on a mistake, so, whatever wording you want to use, Kravitz is just doing it for dramatic effect when he's creating this script in his head. He's not really, trying to come at Verstappen or anything in this particular instance. That, at least, is my perspective, but I like Ted's notebook, so I'm probably a bit biased in his favor. Now, this is the thing, though, because the notebook is here on the website right now. You can actually scroll through and watch it on the Sky Sports website, but if you go to their YouTube channel, all of the notebooks are now gone. If you guys look down at the past, a lot of their videos, like all of their videos, a majority of them for the last month and a few months even, have just been deleted. Like, look at this, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, like, can you see any notebooks here? I can't. So, yeah, I don't know what's exactly happened there, but clearly since Verstappen's comments, the notebook is just gone from the Sky Sports YouTube channel. So, really interesting stuff. I wonder if their most popular video is still, okay, yeah, so Horner's still putting this Aston Martin on 2 wheels, but so they haven't completely got rid of that one yet because of the Red Bull boycott. But still, interesting, right, that they are shutting down the notebook maybe on the YouTube channel, even though it's still on their own website. So not sure what the implication of this is going to be. I think that, you've got to respect it from Verstappen in a way. He feels like he's getting disrespected. Don't talk to them, ignore them, don't feed into it, try and create some positive change, I think is fine. At the same time, unfortunately, social media, man, it's just like, it's unbelievable how toxic Formula One Twitter actually is. I honestly can't believe it. Like, or even Instagram, for example. I saw some people posting some unbelievable stuff on Ted Kravitz's Instagram as a result of this. Verstappen's trying to calm down the social media toxicity, but unfortunately just how people seem to be nowadays. They were riling it all up against Verstappen or against Hamilton or against Ted Kravitz himself. It's like, yeah, he definitely doesn't deserve that type of stuff hitting him up, but, obviously, of course, you've got to respect Red Bull's decision as well to step away. away until they feel like the commentary is going to become more impartial, which obviously they've got to be thinking about given the fact that clearly a lot of Ted's notebooks have disappeared from YouTube. So I wonder what the future of this is, whether, I hope the notebook doesn't get shut down or anything, because it's a great kind of glimpse into the behind the scenes, what goes on in the paddock at Formula One. But, maybe they'll have to issue an apology for those statements or, whatever might happen. But, still quite the circumstances, right, after, Verstappen calling out to Kravitz and Sky interviews, and nothing to be seen anymore for the time being. Whether it will just last to the end of the season, whether next year they run it back with Sky Sports again, because Horner probably loves deep down being on that pit wall and talking to Crofty and giving his perspective on all that type of stuff. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Just to mention this quickly, because there was also some strange comments going around that Verstappen said that, despite Hamilton having a lot of respect for him or whatever, someone told Verstappen that Hamilton doesn't use Verstappen's first name, and Verstappen was like, yeah, so Hamilton doesn't really respect me that much. And I was a bit confused by those statements, to be honest, just because, I don't know, I think Hamilton does use Max's name a fair bit, maybe not all the time. Sometimes he says, that guy was too fast, or their car was too fast, or whatever. But, yesterday on the podium, Hamilton did say congrats to Max, maybe just as a result of all this. So drama everywhere, but that is going to do it for today. Just a quick mention of Pierre Gasly, because I believe he got 1 point for forcing Stroll wide in Mexico, and that now brings him up to 10 points on his license in the last, well, honestly, not too many months. So he's only 2 points away from getting 12 points and being handed a race ban, which might well happen next season for Alpine because it's a 12-month window. His alternative is try and do something malicious, not necessarily malicious, but try and do something to get a penalty over the next 2 races, and therefore he serves his penalty, let's say this season or whatever in Abu Dhabi, and then doesn't have an issue next season for Alpine. But that is just one more question to be considered over the coming weeks. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.